Hey my friends, it's your boy Banner and welcome to another episode of Try Bonsai. Now, what we're going to do this afternoon is it's afternoon, it's Monday afternoon. Today is the 27th of April. The year is running really very fast, my friends. Anyways, this is my Zig Zag Gmelina, and as you could see, it has been doing quite well. So what I'm going to do today is to give it a little prune back into a little bit of a focus, because this particular species is viney. If you look at all of the foliage coming out, how long it is. So we're going to prune those back and bring it back into some kind of a focus with the intention of creating or developing, tufts of growth, pads, as it were, in particular spaces. So as I usually say, Lewy Disco. So I have the tree facing you. Let me just give you a little 360 on it. And I'm working between the tanks today. And as I said, this thing is really very long. But this is a nice piece of material with some really aged, crackling bark. Let me bring you in closer to get a little view of that. Look at that bark. Sorry for the finger. And I don't want this bark to be destroyed. So you have to take care of it. And I want to develop this. This is a really nice piece of material. Look at the flare, and this is the back of the tree. Look at the flare here. I have one or two little things, dead roots to snip off, which are coming around, back around to the front. It's really an unconventional piece of material, Olio. I like it too bad. I like this too bad. So let's get to some work, and with time, let's see if we could stick in another project. So we're going to take things back to leaves facing in directions that I want it to grow, because this is going to be done via clip and grow. I'm not going to apply wire in this instance. As you all know, I'm not necessarily the greatest fan of wiring, but I do use it from time to time. But now that I'm using it from time to time, I'm realizing that I'm not really the biggest wire person. So whilst I am pruning back to leaves that I want, going in directions that I want, I am also removing dead bits from previous cuts. So this, I don't know that this is a branch that I want here. I'm going to prune this back, and I don't want anything going back in. I want something coming out. So I'm going to take it to this point here. And when it starts to grow, I will prune to another leaf, changing the direction again. So I have something here growing up and going in towards the trunk. I'm going to take that off completely. And I want to pay attention to this spot here, because I have another little something growing in. And I'm going to try to increase, right, zoom in just a bit, and hopefully you all will be able to see, or I'll try for you all to see as best as I can. So zooming in. So I have this branch coming out here, and I prune back to this. So next branch hopefully would go in that direction, which is down. Or I could go back a little bit more because there's a leaf here. But let me leave that for now. Now, there is this branch that is directly above this one, which could potentially pose a problem. And that problem is that it'll overshadow this branch. Now, here's the dilemma. Here's the choice. And let me put you in a position where you could see. So the situation here is that this branch is coming from on top, whereas this is coming from under. Now, the question is, which one is the better branch for me? Which one I prefer? Now, I could carve this down, this cut point here, to make this neater and use this branch because I'm more inclined to use this one. Although they tend to take branches from on top, but I want to give a little bit of space between, and I have to zoom out a bit. I want to give a little bit more space between here and here. So if this is shooting up, now granted, I could position it to go down, but I have a lot more branches coming out in places from the bottom and I'm trying to fight against the leaves here so that you all could see. So there's a lot of leaves happening in between. And I have another branch here that is staggered from this one. So one here, one here. So I could remove the one on top. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, so I'm moving the branch on top, and as I move that, I have a branch going back in. So I want to remove that. And with this now, cut back this big leaf, I have something starting to be created here. Or, yeah, something that could be created here. Because this is just preliminary work. You enjoy the development. Yeah, and this is what bonsai is for me. You enjoy the development of your trees. That work that you put in and looking at that work blossom and develop as one of the things in bonsai for me. So we're going on. So let me go around the tree, and when we come back, we're gonna just see what was done. Yeah. Okay, my friends. So it took it back quite a bit, quite a lot actually. That is all the runners that I took off. I took it back quite a lot to outward facing leaves so that we could start creating something, start the creation of something in the future. It is well established in the pot and doing quite well. And I am happy with this. So let me see if I can stick in something else. Yeah, let me give you a 360 before I leave this piece of wood. This is my Zig Zag Gmelina. Nice too bad, Olio. This thing nice too bad. I think I have some branches in some nicely placed areas that could prove to be very, very useful in the future. Yeah, so let's move on to something else. So, my friends, next up is my attempt at creating a clump style planting using the water jasmine as the species, and it going well so far. Now, I would have done some pruning. I believe I did this initial work putting this together on camera, and I would have done some pruning to it off camera. And I don't think I ever showed it since I initially put it together. What I'm doing right now is just taking off some suckers because this particular species likes to put out suckers. So just taking off some suckers from the base. And then we're gonna look at it. Now, when I replant this, I'm going to have to make some changes because when I planted it the first time, I don't think that I identified what would have worked as the front. But in my mind, to me, this that is facing you here, let me zoom in just a bit. Right. This that is facing you here is ideally the front. Yeah. So you get to see the varying trunks. Now, granted, I could change the front to something like this, but one trunk will hide the other. And if I turn it the other way around, the big trunk, which should be the focal tree, is to the back and kind of hidden. So when I repot it, this that you're seeing here would be the front. Now, ideally, what I'm going to do today is give it a little bit of a prune. And what I was wondering, I was thinking about this off camera. I have to identify how I want this to grow. Now, the focal tree is quite a lot taller than the others. These trees are coming up nicely, and the focal tree is a lot higher than the others. And what I would have been doing off camera is pruning so that the other trees could send their foliage outward. But I'm wondering if I should reduce the canopy on the focal tree and try to get it a little more compacted. That is the big thought process for me. And I think I should. I think that I should. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Granted, I'm gonna do it now-ish, but let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know what you think about this planting and my Zig Zag Gmelina. Yeah. Let me know how you feel about it. So, yeah, that is my focus today. Bringing back in the growth on all of the trees, but mainly on this main tree. So we're gonna get to that now, and when we come back, we're gonna take a look and see what it is. So let me give you a good view on this, and then let we get to work. From the base, I would have put several trees that were not together, finding grooves and spaces and putting them together with the hope that they fuse, because that is what I want. I want to get them to fuse. And right now, it's feeling so. I don't want to interfere with this right now. At least not until I get a better and bigger pot for it. Because I would want to give them a bit more space so that the trunks could thicken up a bit. But coming up, I attempted to use a little bit of wire again to try to add a little bit of character. But I aborted that mission. It did not do what I wanted it to do. At least not what I was thinking. And these are the trees. So as I go around, the trees are at staggering heights, and I need to make sure that each individual tree has its own space to grow, where the sun will hit them accordingly and they will flourish. I don't want any one particular tree overshadowing the other. So this main tree, I want to bring this back in. It's nice, although it's nice too bad, At least I think so. So let me get to it. I like to work late. Not by choice, but it is what it is. So let me go. So as I'm starting with this branch, I want to prune this back. This has some nice movement, but I want to bring this back quite a bit. So I'm going to do some heavy pruning on this particular tree because I want to bring this back in quite hard. And unfortunately, I have to take off all the nice flowers that are coming out. So my friends, I did a lot of pruning. I'm trying to put my hand to see if that would act as a shield so that you could see how much I took off. And what I left is branches, I believe, that are pointing in directions that we want to go, and I cut back to leaf nodes so that the next branch that comes out would potentially go in a direction that I wanted to go. So we're going to go around the go around the planting and do the exact same thing. And when we come back, we're going to just take a look at it, and that is it for today. Okay, my friends, so this was a reset. Wasn't the original intention, but it ended up becoming a reset. So what I'm going to do is fertilize heavily so that it'll push out new growth. And as it pushes out new growth, start to utilize this new growth to pick and choose what I want to develop, what I want to create, and go from there. Sometimes, to be very honest, sometimes you may have the best of intentions, or you may have a plan and it doesn't necessarily go according to plan. So this is a reset, and let me just give you a little 360 on this. Hold on. Okay, so this is the base of the planting, and the trees are not quite fused as yet. The roots are probably good and well tangled, but it's going to take a while. This is going to take a while to fuse. So I'm not going to interfere with this just yet. We're going to leave this probably for another year or two and then take a look at it. As we come up into the canopies of the trees, I think the pruning that I did is good enough to create more choices. We have some branches, some trunks, with some really nice weird shapes, twists and bends. And my friends, to be very honest, if this does not work out, I'm going to reset again and do it again. I'm noticing a little bit of a swelling here. I don't want to carve this out, although I know it will heal over, just as how it healed over here. If you look at it, that is a heal over. But let me see if this will outgrow this swelling, and if it doesn't, I have some work to do. So as I zoom out, this is the back of the planting, coming back around to the front. Each trunk line is fanning outward. So when it's fanning outward, if we need to create little canopies or whatever the case is, everybody has their own individual space to do that. And yeah, that is it. That is it, my friends. So as I end today, I just wanted to give you a little view on the mixed forest or mixed planting that I did. And everybody, my friends, now some of the trees, their leaves close when it's coming later in the afternoon. But as you can see, all of the trees are doing well. This one particular bloodwood take a little while to bud out, but it is budding out now and doing quite well. So the bloodwood section is doing well. The water jasmine section is doing well to the point where we have flowers. Flowers are not opened yet. The ironwood section is doing nicely, budding out. Everybody is going well. And the rain tree section, I lost all of the leaves and I'm trying to see if I could get in. I lost all of the leaves on this particular rain tree, but it's starting to bud back out. Like as you can see, there's a little bud there, and buds are coming out all over, which is good. So this, so far, my friends, was a successful venture. And this is one of the things, sometimes you do things and you're not sure. With your best intentions, you do all the things by the book. You check, you dot all your I's, you cross all your T's, and sometimes they don't work out. But on the times that they do work out, which is more than less, it's a happy thing. It's a real happy thing to see. So my mixed forest doing quite well. As I zoom away, it looks kind of small, but it is not. It is not at all. Anyways, my friends, that is it for today. As I usually say, be good to yourself, be good to others, treat people how you want to be treated. And remember that our climate is our responsibility. We have an opportunity to change it for the better. If not for ourselves, let's do it for the future generations. My friends, click that like button. Didn't take nothing to click that like button. Drop your comments. I love to read the comments. You may have something, or you may have noticed something that I did not notice, or you may have a way of looking at things that I did not consider. That's the purpose. You just might want to encourage. I am all for it. So drop a comment, click that like button. If you haven't subscribed as yet, now is a good time to do so. And if you know anybody that will benefit from the work that I'm doing, feel free to share, my friends. So on that note, I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye.